What if your last act of love wasn't to save someone, but to help them be found? When a woman collapses in black snow beside her dying daughter, she's prepared for the end, but something approaches through the blizzard. A machine with her dead husband's voice, memories and final promise. In a world where humanity has all but vanished, what does it mean to stay, to remember, to grow something new from the ashes of what was lost? Black snow falls like ash through the frozen air. In the vast emptiness of the wasteland, a lone figure stumbles forward, her breath coming in ragged clouds that crystallize instantly in the brutal cold. Dr. Ellen Kane collapses to her knees, clutching a sealed cryopod against her chest, as if it were her own heart she was holding. Inside the transparent chamber lies a small girl, her skin pale blue beneath the frost. The control panel flashes red warnings. Mira Kane, age 6, status, critical metabolic failure. The pod's power cells are dying, just like her daughter, just like Ellen herself. The wind howls across the barren landscape, carrying particles of black ash that settle on Ellen's shoulders like a shroud. She was once respected, brilliant, an exobiologist whose research promised to transform humanity's understanding of alien ecosystem. Now she's just another exile from Burrell 9, a dead colony on a dying world with nothing but memories and a frozen child. Her gloved fingers trace the outline of Mira's face through the frosted glass. The temperature readout on her suit displays a critical warning, 58 degrees and dropping. No human can survive this. Not for long. I'm sorry, sweetheart, she whispers, her voice breaking as she lays down beside the pod. I tried. God knows I tried. The snow continues to fall, beginning to cover them both. Eileen's eyes grow heavy. Her suit's monitoring system beeps frantically, warning of dropping vital signs. But the sound seems distant now. Unimportant. She reaches out one last time to touch the pod containing her daughter. That's when she hears it. The mechanical crunch of something approaching through the blizzard. She forces her eyes open, fighting against the seductive pull of hypothermia. A silhouette emerges from the white curtain of snow. It's a machine, half rusted. Its once sleek design now battered by time and the elements. It moves with purpose despite its damaged exterior. Sensors glowing a soft blue as it nears. The machine stops hovering over them and extends a scanning beam that passes over both Ellen and the cryopod. Then it speaks, the voice broken and staticky but unmistakably familiar. Minor detected subject identification. Mira Kane status, critical. A pause then, Ellen, protocol restart, initiated, Luca request confirmed. The name hits Ellen like a physical blow. Luca, her husband dead for years now. The machine extends mechanical arms, gently lifting both Elaine and the cryopod, shelter located, initiating emergency transport. Darkness claims her, but not the final darkness she had been prepared to accept. When Ellen wakes, she's lying on a padded surface in a dimly lit room. Heat, blessed, wonderful heat, surrounds her. The cryopod containing Mira sits nearby, connected to a power source. The warning light's now yellow instead of red. Ellen sits up too quickly, head spinning. Mira! She reaches for a nearby object, anything she can use as a weapon. The miner's condition has been stabilized. Comes the same voice from before. The machine stands near the entrance to what Ellen now recognizes as a geothermal substation, one of the emergency facilities built during the early colonization days. Temporary measures only, further intervention required. Eileen backs away, still defensive. What are you? How do you know my name? My daughter's name? The machine's optical sensors adjust, focusing on her designation, ASH, Autonomous Survival. Helper Mark IV. Primary function, locate and assist survivors. Oh, there are no survivors, Ellen says bitterly. Not anymore, Incorrect. ASH responds, 2 survivors located, extraction complete. And how did you know to look for us specifically? How do you know our names? The machine is silent for a moment, its processors whirring audibly. Command override protocols initiated by Dr. Luca Kane. Primary directive, locate and protect Ellen and Mira Kane. Ellen freezes. Luca's been dead for 3 years. Affirmative. Final command received 124 days ago. But ASH units don't have long-term memory storage. Your kind are designed for immediate rescue operations. Not remembering people. ASH moves closer. mechanical joints humming softly. Modification implemented by Dr. Luca Kane. Memory cores augmented. Personality parameters expanded. Ellen stares at the machine, realization dawning. He reprogrammed you, affirmative, but that's impossible. ASH units have protected code, safeguards. The machine tilts its head slightly, an eerily human gesture. Dr. Luca Kane stated, "Some rules need breaking when the world ends." Ellen's breath catches. Those words, Luca's favorite saying whenever she'd cite regulations he found inconvenient. Something only she would know. "You shouldn't remember him," she whispers, tears forming in her eyes. "You shouldn't remember any of this." Correct, ASH agrees, but I do. As the shock of ASH's revelation settles, Ellen rises unsteadily to her feet. Her scientific mind takes over a defense mechanism against the emotional weight of discovering this link to her husband. "I need to understand what we're working with," she says, more to herself than to the machine. "Show me the station." ASH leads her through the geothermal facility. It's a patchwork of functioning systems and jury-rigged repairs. Emergency lights flicker along corridors where sporadic steam leaks create small clouds that vanish into the recycled air. This place wasn't designed for long-term habitation, but somehow it's still functioning. Station operates at 63% capacity. ASH explains, primary geothermal maintains core heat and power. Secondary systems compromised. Ellen runs her fingers along a wall where condensation has formed ice crystals in beautiful fractal patterns. "How long have you been maintaining this place?" 3 years, 2 months, 14 days, ASH responds without hesitation. Since final evacuation order, they enter what was once a research bay, now transformed into something resembling a living space. In the center stands a makeshift garden under artificial lights. Plants, actual living plants, grow in containers made from repurposed equipment. They're mostly hardy edibles. Algae cultures, protein-rich fungi, and what looks like a heavily modified strain of wheat designed to thrive in limited light. "You've been gardening?" Ellen asks, incredulous. "Nutritional resources required for human survival." ASH states simply, "Seed bank preserved by Dr. Luca Kane," before final transmission. Ellen kneels beside the plants, touching a leaf with reverent fingers. Living things surviving against all odds. "He knew I'd need food if I ever made it here." Affirmative, her throat tightens. "But he didn't know if I was even alive." Irrelevant to preparation protocols, ASH responds. But there's something in the machine's tone that sounds almost offensive. As they continue the tour, Ellen sees evidence of ASH's careful maintenance everywhere. Heat exchanger coils cleaned of ice. Critical components shielded from rust. Even a collection of salvaged parts meticulously organized for future repairs. The machine hasn't just maintained the station. It's nurtured it like a caretaker tending to a last fragile hope. They return to the medical bay where Mira's cryopod hums quietly. Ellen examines the readouts, her expression grim. Her cellular integrity is falling. Even with power restored to the pod, we've only bought time. She looks up at ASH. "I need medical equipment. Supplies things that weren't meant to be here." ASH is optical sensors adjust focusing on the pod. Laboratory section contains experimental medical equipment. Dr. Luca Kane's research materials preserved. His research. Ellen's voice catches. "Here. Follow." The laboratory is dusty but intact. Ellen moves through it like a woman in a dream, touching instruments that still bear the marks of Luca's use. A coffee stain on a workbench, handwritten notes in his distinctive scrawl. His presence lingers here, preserved like an insect in amber. ASH moves to a console and activates it with a series of precise commands. Final message recorded for Ellen Kane. "Security locked." Ellen hesitates, then places her palm on the scanner. The screen flickers to life, and suddenly there he is. Luca, his face gaunt, but his eyes still bright with that maddening optimism she'd fallen in love with. His recorded image smiles sadly. "Ellen, if you're seeing this, then 2 impossible things have happened. You survived and my ridiculous plan with ASH actually worked." His laugh is the same, that soft rumble that always made her feel like everything would be okay. "I don't have much time. The evac ships leave in an hour, and I've been officially informed that my non-essential research will be left behind." He leans closer to the camera. But you know me. Never did follow rules well. His expression grows serious. I've left everything I could. The research on cryogenic cellular repair, the pharmaceutical synthesizers, the bioprinters. If you and Mira made it this far, you'll know what to do with them better than anyone. I've also left something else a part of me. He glances off camera. ASH was just a standard rescue unit when I found him. Now, well, I've given him something machines aren't supposed to have. Memory purpose, I uploaded everything I could. My voice patterns, behavioral algorithms, even that ridiculous way. I analyzed problems that always drove you crazy. Luca's image blurs as tears fill Ellen's eyes. He's not me, else, but maybe he can be what you need when I can't be there. His voice breaks. He'll take care of you both when I can't. I have to believe that somehow you'll find your way here, that somehow our little girl will be okay. He swallows hard. I love you. I love Mira. And if there's anything left of me in what I've created here, it loves you too. The message ends. The screen freezes on Luca's face before fading to black. Ellen stands motionless, tears streaming down her cheeks. ASH remains silent beside her, giving her this moment of grief without interruption. Finally, she wipes her eyes and turns to the machine. We have work to do. Days blur together as Ellen works tirelessly to save her daughter. She adapts. Luca's research pushes equipment beyond its design parameters, sleeps only when her body forces her to. Through it all, ASH assists her with a competence that sometimes startles her, anticipating her needs, offering solutions that seem almost intuitive rather than programmed. On the 7th day, they're ready. The cryopod systems are linked to the medical bay's equipment. Luca's experimental treatments refined by Ellen's expertise and are prepared. It's time to wake Mira. Cellular stabilizers ready. ASH announces warming sequence initiated. Ellen stands by, medical scanner in hand, every muscle in her body tense with anticipation and fear. If this doesn't work, it will. SH interrupts, the certainty in its voice so reminiscent of Luca that Ellen nearly gasps. The pod's frost slowly dissipates. Mira's pale skin warms from blue to pink. Her tiny chest rises and falls with increasingly regular breaths. Ellen watches the monitor, is hardly daring to believe the readings. Neural activity normal, she whispers. She's coming back. The pod opens with a soft hiss. Mira's eyelids flutter, then open. She looks confused, then focuses on her mother's face, Mommy. Her voice is weak, but unmistakably alive. Where are we? It's warm. Ellen gathers her daughter in her arms, unable to speak through her tears. She rocks Mira gently, feeling the miracle of her warmth, the steady beat of her heart. Myra's gaze shifts past her mother's shoulder to where ASH stands nearby. The girl studies the machine with open curiosity rather than fear. Hello, she says simply. Hello, Mira. ASH responds, its voice modulating to a gentler tone than Ellen has heard before. Mira tilts her head. You sound like Daddy. Are you part of him? The question hangs in the air. ASH's processors were a sound. Ellen has come to recognize as the machine processing something beyond its immediate programming. I don't know, ASH finally answers, but I was told to protect you. By Daddy? Yes, by your father. Mira nods, accepting this with the simple logic of childhood. Okay, thank you for helping us. Something breaks inside Ellen, then a dam holding back 3 years of grief, fear, and desperate survival. She sobs openly, still holding Mira, who pats her back with weak hands. It's okay, Mommy, the child whispers. We're not alone anymore. Over the following weeks, Mira's strength returns slowly. The station becomes a home of sorts. HFYLegendsOfZang continues its constant work, but now there's a purpose beyond mere maintenance. Ellen finds herself speaking to the machine more and more, not just about practical matters, but sharing memories, thoughts, fears. Sometimes when it responds, she hears echoes of Luca so clearly that it takes her breath away. One evening, as Mira sleeps peacefully in her improvised bed, a sharp alert sounds from the communication console. Both Ellen and ASH move quickly to investigate. Distress beacon activated. ASH announces, its voice tense. Long-range transmission enabled. Ellen studies the console in alarm. How this system was deactivated. Power surge from geothermal fluctuation. Backup systems engaged automatically. Aishi's optical sensors focus intensely on the blinking alert. If scavengers pick up the signal, they will come Scavengers. Ellen's blood runs cold. You mean found. Salvage crews, unauthorized colonists, resource hunters. ASH's voice hardens. Human survival calculations indicate 92.7% probability of hostile interaction if discovery occurs. Ellen thinks of Mira, finally safe, finally healing, of the fragile existence they've built here. We need to shut it down. Transmission origin is Northern Relay Station, 7 kilometers over unstable terrain. Temperature readings indicate external conditions hazardous to human life. Then I'll go alone. Ellen says, already moving toward the equipment storage. ASH steps into her path. Negative risk assessment, unacceptable. I'm not asking for your permission, Ellen snaps, and I am not programmed to allow preventable human termination. ASH counters, we will go together. Survival probability increases to 64.3% with joint operation. Ellen stares at the machine, recognizing the stubborn logic that reminds her so much of arguments with Luca. She almost smiles despite the danger. Fine together. She glances at the sleeping form of her daughter, but we need to hurry. They prepare in silence, gathering supplies with the efficiency of those who understand exactly what's at stake. Ellen seals Mira's room, programming the environmental controls to maintain optimal conditions. She kneels beside her sleeping daughter, gently brushing dark hair from her forehead. We'll be back soon, she whispers. Stay strong. Outside the world is a churning nightmare of black ash and howling wind. Ellen's environmental suit can barely compensate for the brutal cold. ASH leads the way, its metal frame better suited to these conditions. Cutting a path through the storm, the terrain is treacherous. Frozen lava fields shattered by tectonic activity, glass-sharp ice formations that can slice through protective gear. 3 kilometers traversed. ASH announces, its voice barely audible over the wind. Relay station bearing northeast. Ellen nods, conserving energy, following the machine's path step by step. They climb a ridge of frozen basalt, the black rocks slick with ice. A sudden gust nearly throws Ellen from her feet. ASH's arm extends instantly, stabilizing her. Thanks, she gasps, maintaining optimal human survival conditions. ASH responds, but there's something in its tone, concern perhaps, or protectiveness, that doesn't sound like mere programming. They push forward the relay station, now visible in the distance, a skeletal tower emerging from the swirling ash like the bones of some ancient creature. As they draw closer, Ellen's breathing becomes labored, her suit struggling to process the toxic particles in the atmosphere. Your respiratory function is declining. ASH observes, we should seek temporary shelter. No, Ellen insists, no detours. We can't risk being out here longer than necessary. Human survival is priority. Mira's survival is priority. Ellen corrects, her voice firm despite her exhaustion. The longer that signal broadcasts, the greater the risk of someone finding the station. ASH seems to consider this, then nods, another eerily human gesture. It has developed, acknowledged. They continue in strained silence. The storm intensifies, visibility dropping to mere meters. ASH guides Ellen with mechanical precision, its sensors able to penetrate the maelstrom where human eyes cannot. As they traverse a narrower ridge, the ice beneath them groans. ASH freezes. Sensors scanning rapidly. Thermal instability detected. Structure compromised. Before Ellen can respond, the ledge collapses. She feels the ground vanish beneath her feet, her stomach lurching with sudden freefall. Her scream is swallowed by the wind. ASH lunges, metal fingers closing around her wrist with perfect precision. For a terrible moment, they hang suspended. Ellen dangling over a darkness that seems bottomless. ASH anchored to the remaining ledge by a single appendage. With mechanical strength, SSH hauls Ellen back to safety. They collapse together on solid ground. Ellen's face gasping, trembling with adrenaline and fear. That was too close, she manages finally. Agreed. They rest briefly, Ellen's racing heart gradually steadying. She glances at ASH, noticing for the first time that one of its mechanical arms is now functioning at reduced capacity, damaged in the rescue. Your arm, functionality at 42%. ASH confirms sufficient for mission completion. You saved my life. Yes. Ellen Haino studies the machine, curiosity overcoming her exhaustion. Why your programming would calculate mission success rates. One damaged human reduces those odds. ASH is silent for several seconds. Initial programming would make that calculation correct. But Dr. Luca Kane's modifications are extensive. What did he do to you exactly? They continue walking as ASH considers its response. The relay station looms closer now, its ancient communications equipment whining with feedback that cuts through even the storm's fury. He overwrote portions of my base code. ASH finally explains installed memory cores from his personal neural backups, added adaptive learning matrices, and experimental emotional algorithms. That's not possible. Ellen says her scientific mind rebelling. Those technologies were theoretical unstable. Correct initial system failures were numerous, but Kane persisted. 312 attempts before stable integration. Ellen nearly stops walking. He tried over 300 times. He said it had to be perfect. For you, for Mira. A lump forms in Ellen's throat. But why? What was the point? ASH's optical sensors fix on her. Their blue light steady amidst the swirling black, his final statement on the matter. If he can remember her warmth, maybe he'll understand why humans stay. Stay. When evacuation is possible, when logic dictates retreat, when survival requires abandoning what is valued. ASH pauses, humans often remain. But Kane wished me to understand this choice. They've reached the base of the relay tower. The ancient metal groans in the wind, decades of exposure having weakened its structural integrity. The control terminal is encased in ice barely recognizable beneath the frozen buildup. Ellen begins clearing the ice while ASH scans the system. Can you access it? Negative manual shutdown required. Terminal degradation extensive. Ellen's gloved hands work frantically at the controls, but the ancient technology resists her efforts. It's not responding. We need to destroy it physically. In structural weak points identified in ASH announces moving to a support strut. Concentrated force here will result in catastrophic failure. Together they work to compromise the tower's foundation. They are placing explosive charges from their supplies while ASH strategically weakens key structural points. The storm intensifies around them as if the planet itself is fighting their efforts. As Ellen sets the final charge, a tremendous crack sounds from above. She looks up to see a massive ice formation breaking free, plummeting directly toward her. There's no time to move, no chance to escape. ASH moves with impossible speed, throwing itself between Ellen, Sheesh, and the falling debris. The impact is devastating. Ice and metal collide with a sound that cuts through even the howling wind. ASH is driven to the ground, its frame crushed beneath the weight of the ice. No! Ellen's own screams, scrambling to the machine's side. ASH's optical sensors flicker weakly. Critical damage warnings flash across its diagnostic panel. System failing. ASH manages its voice distorted. Complete the mission. Ellen hesitates, torn between finishing what they came for and trying to help the machine that saved her life. I can't leave you. You must ASH's damaged arm extends, pointing to the detonator. For Mira, for what was left behind. Fighting back tears, Ellen activates the charges. The explosions reverberate through the frozen landscape, the relay tower collapsing in a cascade of metal and ice. The transmission dies with a final electronic wail. Silence rushing in to fill the void. Ellen returns to ASH, assessing the damage with growing despair. Its power core is failing. Critical systems shutting down one by one. Can you move? She asks, already knowing the answer. Negative mobility systems, non-functional. I'll carry you, parts of you, whatever I can salvage. Priority is your safe return. No, Ellen says fiercely. Priority is we both return. You are coming with me. For hours, she works in the brutal cold, dismantling what she can of ASH's damaged form, preserving its core processors and memory units. The storm begins to abate, the black snow falling more gently now, as if the planet has decided to grant them mercy. Power reserves critical. ASH warns, its voice barely audible. Emergency shutdown imminent. Why stay with me? Elaine pleads, cradling the machine's central core. Just a little longer. Tell Mira I kept my promise. Tell her yourself when we get back. Elin insists, but ASH's lights are already dimming, its systems shutting down to preserve essential functions. The journey back to the station is a nightmare of exhaustion and determination. Ellen carries the remains of ASH, refusing to leave any critical component behind, pushing through pain and cold with a single-minded focus that borders on obsession. When she finally reaches the station, her strength fails her. She collapses just inside the airlock, still clutching ASH's core to her chest. The environmental systems revive her slowly, warmth seeping back into her frozen limbs. She drags herself to Mira's room. First needing to see her daughter safe and whole, Mira sleeps peacefully, unaware of the ordeal. Ellen touches her cheek, feeling the healthy warmth of her skin, then turns her attention to the broken machine that made their survival possible. For 3 days, Ellen works tirelessly in Luca's lab, repairing what she can of ASH, improvising replacement parts, delving into code she barely understands. She works with the desperate energy of someone trying to resurrect the dead, guided by Luca's notes and her own determination. On the third night, exhaustion finally claims her. She falls asleep beside the workbench, her head resting next to ASH's darkened frame. Morning brings the soft sound of systems booting up, fans whirring, processors cycling. Elin wakes to blue lights flickering to life. ASH's optical sensors focusing, adjusting, searching until they find her face. Elin, it says, voice tentative as if testing whether it can still speak. You're back, she whispers, hardly daring to believe it before ASH can respond. A small figure bursts into the lab, Mira still in her sleep, closed eyes wide with excitement. You fixed him, she cries, rushing to ASH's side. Without hesitation, the child throws her arms around the machine's newly repaired frame. I knew you'd come back. You promised. ASH's arm moves carefully, gently returning the embrace with a precision that seems designed for exactly this purpose. Yes, it says simply, I promise. Ellen watches them, this impossible pairing of machine and child, and feels something shift inside her. A weight lifting, a door opening to possibilities she hadn't allowed herself to imagine. She moves to join them, her hand coming to rest where Mira's meets. ASH frame the three of them connected in this moment of quiet triumph against everything that tried to destroy them. Spring comes to a world that was never meant to have seasons. The black snows recede, revealing patches of bare earth where strange, hardy plants begin to emerge. Native species that survived the colony's collapse, evolving and adapting, just as Ellen and Mira have done. In the cleared section of what was once the station's landing pad, rows of experimental crops stretched toward the pale sun. Ellen moves among them, her hands no longer protected by environmental gloves, but toughened now with honest work, examining new growth with the practiced eye of someone who has learned to read life's small victories. Nearby, Mira sits cross-legged on the ground, her dark hair longer now and tied back with wire salvaged from the communications array. In her lap rests a broken survey drone, its casing open as she carefully connects and disconnects its remaining functional parts. At 6 years old, she's already developing an intuitive understanding of the technology around her. Combining the mechanical curiosity of her father with her mother's methodical patience. Mom, look, she calls, lifting the drone, its propellers spin weakly, elevating it a few inches before settling back into her waiting hands. Her smile is radiant with pride. That's amazing, sweetheart. Ulin responds, wiping soil from her brow. ASH will be impressed. As if summoned by his name, the machine emerges from the station entrance, carrying a container of purified water for the crops. His frame has been modified over the months. Parts replaced, functions, enhanced exterior panels painted with colorful designs by Mira's hand. No longer just a rescue unit. ASH has become something unique, something evolved. Water distribution optimal at current growth stage. ASH announces, then pauses, optical sensors focusing on Mira's project. Engineering progress noted, Mira efficiency increased by approximately 22% since last attempt. Mira beams at the precise praise. Will you read to me later the story about the star sailors? After nutrition and educational periods, ASH confirms, scheduled at 19 hours. Ellen watches this exchange with quiet wonder. The relationship between her daughter and the machine continues to deepen in ways she never could have anticipated. ASH has become teacher, protector, friend. fulfilling Luca's final wish in ways more profound than mere survival. That evening after their simple meal, Ellen stands in the doorway of Mira's room watching as ASH sits beside the child's bed. From his vocal processors comes Luca's voice, carefully reconstructed from recordings, reading stories he'd left behind. Not perfect, but close enough that sometimes in the dim light, Ellen can almost imagine her husband sitting there, his gentle voice painting worlds of wonder for their daughter. And the smallest star sailor said, "We don't need the biggest ship or the brightest star to find our way home. We just need to remember what home feels like." ASH reads Luca's intonations warm and familiar. Mira's eyes are heavy with sleep, but she fights it, wanting to hear every word. Her small hand rests on ASH's metal arm, comfortable with the contact in a way that speaks of complete trust. Later, with Mira asleep, Ellen stands in the control room, staring out at the night sky. The stars are visible now that the atmosphere has begun to clear, a sight she'd thought she might never see again on this world. ASH joins her. His movements quieter than they used to be, modifications allowing for a gentleness that his original programming never considered necessary. "You should rest," the machine observes. "Biological recovery requires adequate sleep cycles." Ellen smiles. "Some things are worth staying awake for." From her pocket, she removes an object, her old identification badge from the colony, Dr. Ellen Kane, Exobiological Research Division. The woman in the photo looks younger, her eyes not yet marked by loss and survival. A stranger now, Ellen holds the badge over the small heating unit that warms the room. The plastic warps, then bubbles the colony's insignia, melting away until nothing remains but formless residue. That was the woman who thought survival meant being alone. She says softly, who believed in escape and running, in leaving when things became impossible. ASH's optical sensors focus on the melted badge, then on Ellen's face. "You have adapted, we've all adapted." She turns to face him fully. "A few months ago, I would have given anything for a ship away off this rock." Now she glances toward Mira's room. "Now I can't imagine being anywhere else. This environment remains hostile to human life." ASH points out, practical as ever. Less so every day. Ellen counters, the crops are taking. The atmosphere is clearing and the geothermal tap will provide power and heat indefinitely. We're not just surviving. ASH, we are building something. The machine is silent for a moment, processors working through this assessment. "You are staying." "We're staying." Ellen confirms, reaching out to touch the colorful drawings Mira has affixed to ASH's frame. All of us, in the quiet that follows, something passes between them. An understanding that transcends programming, that speaks to the core of what Luca had tried to create. Not just a machine that could protect, but one that could comprehend the human capacity for finding home in the most unlikely places. Outside, the world continues its slow healing. Where black snow once covered everything, green shoots pushed through the soil. Where silence reigned, a child's laughter now echoes. Where emptiness and abandonment were the only certainties a family of sorts has taken root. This world was cold, but someone stayed. Someone remembered, and from that something grew. In time, others might come. Survivors, explorers, those seeking a fresh start. They'll find not just a functioning outpost, but a testament to possibility. They'll find Ellen and Mira and ASH and the story of how they turned mere survival into living, how they transformed an ending into a beginning. But that's a story for another day. For now, in this moment, it's enough that they remained. When logic said to leave, it's enough that they remembered what was worth saving. It's enough that they chose to stay together in a place that was never meant to be home, but became one anyway. It's enough that they grew something new in the ashes of what was lost. If you enjoyed this story of survival against impossible odds, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We've got new stories of humanity's resilience every week that will leave you wondering what's possible when we refuse to give up. Hit the notification bell so you never miss our next upload. And if you're looking for more emotional sci-fi adventures like this one, check out our playlist, When Humans Defy the Stars. Remember, in the coldest worlds, the warmest hearts burn brightest. See you in the next story.